Iceland has its own currency, the Icelandic krona, or ISK. And while the country is not completely cashless yet, we're getting there because the majority of transactions are electronic. So it is crucial for you to have a bank account in Iceland in order to work or live. One thing that's really handy with electronic payments is that you can either use your phone with Apple Pay or Google Pay, or of course your debit or credit card. You might be wondering then, since a bank account is crucial here, how is it that you open one? Which is a great question. Opening a bank account in Iceland is fairly easy as long as you have two requirements met. One being that you have an Icelandic ID, which is a kynitala, and you're legally registered to live in the country. If you're curious about your registration status, you can check that out at Registers Iceland or skrá.is. Once you know for sure that you have your national ID, the kynitala, and that you're legally registered to live here, opening up your bank account is a breeze. Going to the bank itself, and I can speak from personal experience, ended up being way less of a scary experience overall, mainly because the people at the bank will walk you through exactly what you need. So opening up your account, you then can choose if you want a credit card or a debit card. And additional to that, the bank will help you to set up your electronic ID. This is a very important aspect of living in Iceland because with your electronic ID, it serves as a way of being able to identify yourself and to make signatures that are electronic, which will happen for various different services that are necessary for you to be able to access online. Once you have all of that information with your electronic ID, you then can make doctor's appointments. You can check different websites like about your health or different services that are here and utilize it in order to make your life even easier. On average, salaries in Iceland are much higher than many other countries. However, cost of living in Iceland is also much higher than in many other countries. According to statistics from 2003, the average monthly salary for an employee is 745,000 Icelandic krona, which amounts to around $64,000 a year before taxes. Salaries are most often paid on a monthly basis in Iceland. So at the first of the month, you should get a deposit from your employer. However, before you start working, it's extremely important that you know the amount each month that you are supposed to be paid and that you never start a job before having a written contract. Wages are either paid based on an hourly rate or a fixed amount for each month. What's really awesome about living and working in Iceland is that there have been collective agreements made regarding salaries. These agreements that have been put together with unions, companies, and the government make sure that people are making livable wages. Any contracts for work that do not respect these collective agreements are considered invalid. And while it's totally acceptable and encouraged to negotiate your salary, it is never okay and illegal for you to be paid less for what the collective agreement is for that salary based off of your job description. After a month of working hard, it is amazing to get that money deposited into your account by your employer. One thing to note is that if an employer is trying to insist on paying you in cash, be suspicious because electronic payments in Iceland are usually how things are done, and legally to be able to track what you're being paid, getting it deposited into your bank is the best way to go. The money that you receive in your bank from your employer is all of yours to spend on your lifestyle because your employer is obligated to take out any mandatory taxes, any amounts for your pension fund, and union fees. Collective agreements regarding salary and rights for workers have been put together by unions and the government. And this comes along with considerable benefits that are awesome to have because, to be quite frank, all of us need protection when it comes to being able to take vacations, paternity or maternity leave, and other such necessary services. When it comes to taking vacation, in most cases, after you worked for 1 year for your employer, you are guaranteed 24 to 30 working days that are paid for you to go and relax on the beach, go skiing, or whatever you want. Due to collective agreements that were put together by unions and employers, workers in Iceland have considerable benefits and rights that are protected by law. There's 3 different categories that will be most of interest to you because they involve you being able to take time off, whether it's for medical reasons or just vacation. When it comes to vacation, your vacation hours will vary, but when you've been working for a company for at least 1 year, and in the majority of cases, you are guaranteed 24 to 30 working days off that are paid. If you're not feeling well and need to take sick leave, you're also able to do that paid. And if you have a child or children, there are sick leave days for them as well. Lastly, paternity and maternity leave are also paid to an extent, and I'll go into that a little bit more as regarding the requirements and how much time. When it comes to maternity and paternity leave, each parent is allotted 6 months, which equals to 12 months per child. And there are 6 weeks that are transferable between each parent. Regarding your wages each month, it's 80% of your income. However, there is a ceiling to the amount each month that you can receive. And for more information about that, just to keep up to date with how it is regarding when you see this information, make sure to check out Iceland.is. If a company asks you to work for them as a contractor, or you decide to venture out yourself as a contractor, it is so important to understand what that entails. First off, you, in essence, are acting as a company. So you are then required to pay taxes, any union fees, VAT if that applies, and any other things that come up regarding your business. You are, in essence, the employer and the employee. Understanding the components of this and what it can cost you as a company that's basically functioning as an individual is important for your livelihood to be able to afford your different living expenses and extras if you want. Personally, as someone who has done a decent amount of contract work in Iceland, it was so helpful when I sat down with an accountant who explained to me the different fees that would be required of me once I was paid from a company that I did contract work for. When I had that information, I then was able to charge accordingly so that I can make a livable wage and pay all of these taxes that are required at either the end of the year or whenever your accountant lets you know that you need to pay them.